Now that we've analyzed our information, we can share our visualizations with others. Dashboards are the final step in showing our analytics. They can show multiple sheets at once and can be formatted to a higher degree to help us better understand or interact with the data. In this video, we will learn how to make some simple dashboards and format them for printing or for uploading to the internet. You may have figured this out by now, but printing or sharing individual worksheets is not pretty. They print out with weird dimensions and we can't control where the keys and captions go. Dashboards are designed to help us format our worksheets for printing or sharing. Let's start making a dashboard to help format this sheet for printing. To make a dashboard, click this tab. The first thing we should do once we create a new dashboard is to size it for what we want to use it with. In this case, we want to size it for printing, so let's change the size to a piece of paper. The next thing we do is drag the sheet onto the dashboard. The first thing that I notice about this dashboard is that the text is very small. When we format our dashboards for printing, we should strive to have our data be as readable as possible. A very easy but non-conventional way to increase the text size is to halve both the width and the height. Then, we should go back and take off another 10 pixels to allow for the borders. Now, we can imagine that once it's scaled up, this text will be very readable. The second thing that I notice is that the measured names key is taking up a very good portion of our page. A good way to save space is to make our keys floating. A floating key does not tile. The quickest way to make a key floating is to click the key, click the gray thing up here, and hold Shift as we drag it. Then move our key to some place where it will not get in the way of our data. This dashboard has a scroll bar. Because it has a scroll bar, that means that not all of our data is being displayed on this graph. If we want this graph to show all of our data, we can change the view from normal to entire view. Once again, we run into the problem of our text being way too small. If we want the text to be large and readable again, we can limit the amount of data that we are seeing on this graph. Let's go back to the TeleScore sheet to add a new filter. Let's pretend we only want to see the top 30 teams for TeleScore. If we want to make a top filter, go to Team Number and right-click on it. Then, go to Filter. Currently, Team Number is set to show all teams. Instead, let's go to the Top tab. Let's change it from None to By Field, and we want Top 30. Then, let's change the field to TeleScore, and the aggregation to Average. Now, our chart only shows the top 30 teams of TeleScore. Once we go back to the dashboard, we can see why we might want to do this. Now that we did that, our worksheet fits much better into this dashboard. We only need to do a few more things until this graph is ready for printing. Because our viewers will not be able to click on our data to find the score, we should add in grid lines so that they can see the score at a glance. To add grid lines to any chart, hover over the chart area and right-click. Then select Format. Format allows us to change the text, the alignment, the fill, borders, and the lines. Let's change our lines. Currently, grid lines are set to none. Let's turn grid lines on. Now our data is slightly more visible. A note for using the formatting options. It's best when using the formatting options to only change the default values. If we ever made a formatting mistake, we could always go down and click the clear button on the bottom of the page. To exit the formatting options, click the X button. Our data is almost ready to print. Let's do a few last cosmetic changes though. The X-axis is currently labeled value. Let's change that to something that means a little bit more. To edit an axis, right-click it. Let's rename this access to telepoints. Sometimes the name measure names is also confusing. If we want to change the name of a key like this, we can right-click it. To change the title, edit it. Let's change measure names to something like key so that people with less familiarity with our data will know exactly what it means. The last step before we print this dashboard is to set up the page. To set up the page, go to File and Page Setup. Because we already changed the size so that it will have room for borders, let's remove all of these margins. Then, we should center our chart both horizontally and vertically. Because we changed our dashboard size to be 1/2 the size of a piece of paper, if we want to fill an entire sheet, we should scale to 200%. Then, we should make it always print in portrait. We should do this because our dashboard is oriented in the portrait direction. To show you what it would look like if we printed it, I will print this page to PDF. The PDF will look like this. Notice how all of our data fits on one sheet and is very easy to read, even from far away. A main reason why people like to print out their charts is to add notes to them. However, we can do this straight in Tableau. If we want to add a note or to annotate a specific data point, we can right-click on it and do so by right-clicking and annotating that point. Once the annotation box comes up, we can write in notes. Then, we could drag these notes around. Another way of annotating is to have the tooltip always be visible. If we always want the tooltip to be visible, right-click on the data point and annotate the mark. Then, the tooltip will always be visible, even once we print it. Well, that was just a simple dashboard. We can get much more advanced. A lot of the graphs we have made so far can be used to help us perform better during matches. Let's make a battle dashboard, a sheet that we could give to our drive team to help them. To do this, we need to give them a lot of information in a small space. Let's make a new dashboard. Let's pretend that someone on our team has a tablet that they're willing to share with the drive team so that they can get some technical data right before they do their match. Because we are building this dashboard for a tablet, let's change the size. Because we don't know what size the tablet might be, we can change the dashboard size to automatic so that it will scale to whatever device is viewing it. Now, let's drag in sheets that our drive team might consider to be useful. A good place to start with is shooting location, distribution, and the pit summary sheet. Now, let's change the way that these sheets fill up their space. If we want to change how big these charts are, we can drag them around and resize them. For instance, pit scouting sheet does not need to be this big. Also, because we are going up against just 3 robots in the next match, we should filter our data down to just the teams that we're interested in. To add a quick filter onto a dashboard quickly, go to this triangle and go to Quick Filters and create a quick filter for whatever field we are interested in filtering. In this case, team number. Let's remove all of these teams and add in the teams that we're facing next match, one at a time. We could scroll down through all of these options and pick them as we scroll past them. However, we can format our quick filters so that they're a little bit more intuitive for this purpose. To format a quick filter, go to the triangle again. I have found that custom list is a great formatting option for picking team numbers. Let's assume that next match we will be against team 5106, team 5116, and team 5443. Now our teams appear as we enter them. Instead of making a quick filter for each graph in this chart, let's go back to shooting location and make its team number filter global. Now, the other sheets are filtered likewise. We could print out this sheet again, but it might be easier to give to our drivers if we upload it online and give them the link. Then the drivers could look to it from any device connected to 3 or 4G. To upload this dashboard online, we can save it to Tableau Public. Tableau Public is a great and free place to share our worksheets because once we give someone the link, they will always have access to the most updated data we have. To upload our dashboard to Tableau Public, go to the Server tab, then click Tableau Public and Save to Web. The next step is to log on with a free Tableau Public account. Once our workbooks are uploaded online, we can either send people the links or embed the dashboards into a website. No matter which one we pick, everyone who has a link to the dashboard will get the most recent data every time you save to the web. Hopefully now you see why using dashboards is a great way to combine our data into one place and to send it to other people who might want to view it. Thank you.